You tried to reel it back in more than once, more times than you'd admit. Maybe someone told you that you were too intense, that you needed to stop looking for what was wrong and just enjoy things, that not everything needed to be examined or questioned or fixed before you could relax. Maybe they told you that you were doing too much, that you needed to stop putting everyone else first, that you had to learn how to say no and mean it and stop making yourself so available to people who weren't doing the same for you. Maybe they told you that you needed to stop explaining everything, that not everyone wanted a lesson, that sometimes people just wanted to talk and you didn't have to turn every conversation into a lecture. Maybe they told you that your optimism was unrealistic, that you needed to stop trying to motivate people toward things that probably weren't going to work out. Maybe they told you that you were too generous, that you gave too much away, that you needed to stop sharing everything you had and start protecting what was yours. Maybe they told you that you were too bossy, that you needed to stop taking over, that not every situation needed you to step up, and you had to learn how to let other people work it out. Maybe they told you that you were too sensitive, that you absorbed too much, that you needed to stop letting other people's pain become your pain and learn how to create some distance. And here's what you did with that: you tried. You genuinely tried to be less of whatever they said was too much. You pulled it back and you monitored yourself and you caught it when it started to surface and you tried to push it back down and it bubbled back up every time because you can't suppress your wiring. You can only pretend to. And every time you do, something in you goes quiet and numb in a way that doesn't feel like peace. That's not a discipline problem. That's not a self control problem. That's what happens when you spend years fighting yourself. And today, I want to show you why the thing they told you to stop doing is the exact reason you exist. Here's what I want you to understand about every person who ever told you that you were too much. They weren't trying to break you. Most of them weren't even being cruel, they were uncomfortable. And when a person is uncomfortable with something they don't understand, the most natural thing in the world is to ask you to make it smaller, to turn it down, and to bring it to a level that fits inside what they know. And what they knew was themselves. The person who told you to stop questioning everything wasn't seeing someone with a gift for finding truth before anyone else did. They were seeing someone who made them feel like nothing was ever good enough. That was their experience of you, not the reality of you. The person who told you to stop doing so much for everyone wasn't seeing someone whose purpose literally moves through them toward every need in the room. They were seeing someone who made them feel inadequate by comparison. That was their experience of you. And the person who told you to stop explaining things wasn't seeing someone who genuinely cannot let confusion sit because clarity is what they were made to bring. They were seeing someone who made them feel like they were being talked at. That was their experience of you. And the person who told you to stop inspiring everyone wasn't seeing someone wired to see potential before the evidence exists. They were seeing someone who seemed out of touch with reality. That was their experience of you. And the person who told you to stop giving everything away wasn't seeing someone whose first instinct has always been an open hand. They were seeing someone who made generosity look effortless in a way that felt uncomfortable. That was their experience of you. And the person who told you to stop taking over wasn't seeing someone who moves towards chaos because they can already see how to straighten it out. They were seeing someone who made them feel unnecessary. That was their experience of you. The person who told you to stop absorbing everyone's pain wasn't seeing someone whose presence brings comfort to others. They were seeing someone who seemed to struggle with boundaries. That was their experience of you. And their experience of you was never the truth. They were reading you through their own wiring. And what felt overwhelming or confusing or too much to them was never a flaw in you. It was just unfamiliar, and unfamiliar made them uncomfortable enough to hand it back to you as a problem to fix. But you were never the problem. I want to introduce you to Ing energy, not a test, not a category, not another label to carry around, a language, one that was built to describe what's already moving through you. And there are 7 Ing types. Every person carries a unique mixture of all 7, but you have one core Ing energy type, the one that flows strongest, the one that shows up whether you invite it or not, the one that keeps bubbling back up no matter how many times you tried to push it down. Let me walk you through all 7, not so you can pick one, so you can recognize yourself. Perceive Ing. This is the person who cannot stop seeing what everyone else walks right past, the flaw in the plan before it becomes a problem, the thing hiding just beneath the surface that nobody else thought to question. They walk into a situation and they're already reading it, already noticing what's off, already seeing what needs to be named. They've tried to stop. They were told they were too critical, too negative, too focused on what was wrong. But the seeing never stopped because it was never a choice. It's just how they move through the world. Serve Ing. This is the person who knows what's needed before anyone asks. Not just what a person needs, what a situation needs, what a project is missing. They move toward the gap quietly, not for recognition, because something in them simply will not leave a need unmet. They've tried to stop. They were told they were doing too much, that they needed to let people figure it out themselves. But the noticing never stopped because it was never a habit they could break. It's how they were made. Teach Ing. This is the person who cannot let confusion sit. When they understand something, they immediately need you to understand it too. Not because they need to be heard, but because clarity matters to them at a level that's almost physical. They find the angle that makes it make sense, and they've tried to stop. They were told they were lecturing and that not everyone wanted an explanation, but the instruction never stopped because it was never something they chose. It's the energy they were created to flow in. Encourage Ing. This is the person who sees what something can become before anyone else believes it's possible. In people, in ideas, in situations, everyone else has written off. They speak to potential with a certainty that doesn't always make logical sense. They've tried to stop and they were told they were too unrealistic, that they needed to stop inspiring everyone toward things that probably weren't going to work. But the believing never stopped because it was never optimism. It's how they were wired to move things forward. Giving. This is the person whose first instinct is always to share what they have, what they know, what they've figured out. When they see a need, they look for what they can offer. When they find something good, they can't keep it to themselves. They've tried to stop. They were told they gave too much away, that they needed to protect what was theirs. But the generosity never stopped because it was never a decision they made. It's the hand they were created with. Open by default. Leading. This is the person who sees what needs to happen when everything is in a state of chaos. They assessed fast and they move. They don't wait for someone else to step up because they can already see how to straighten it out. And standing still feels like a waste. They've tried to stop and they were told they were too bossy, that they needed to let other people work it out. But the guidance never stopped because it was never ambition. It's how they were created to serve the people around them. Mercying. This is the person who feels what you feel, not as a figure of speech. Someone else's pain lands in them like it's their own. They notice the person nobody else noticed, and they stay in the hard moments when everyone else has moved on. They've tried to stop, and they were told they were too sensitive and that they absorbed too much. But their presence never stopped because it was never a weakness. It's one of the rarest things a human can bring to another. One of those landed differently in your spirit than the others. Not because you chose it, because Ing chose you. That thing that keeps bubbling up no matter how hard you try to hold it down, that's not your problem. That's your purpose. Do you know your Ing energy type? Most people don't yet. That's exactly what the quiz is for. It's free, and your results go straight to your inbox, and the link is in the description. This isn't a personality report. It's not another list of letters or numbers to decode. It's the first time you'll have language for what you've been trying to stifle your whole life. The thing that keeps showing up anyway. The link is in the description. I've spent decades watching people fight themselves, pulling back their ing type that keeps coming forward, apologizing for the energy that wouldn't stay down, trying to become a quieter version of themselves so the people around them could be more comfortable. And I've watched the moment they stop fighting. That moment is always quiet. It's not a big celebration. It's not an announcement. It's relief. The slow exhale of someone who realizes they've been trying to suppress who they are for a very long time. Because here's the truth, the thing they told you to stop doing was never the problem, it was the answer. It was the specific energy you were created to carry, the contribution only you can make. Your ing type keeps bubbling up because it was never supposed to stay down. You weren't too much. You were exactly enough in exactly the right way. You just didn't have language for it yet. Your identity is your purpose, and it has always been. I'll see you in the next video.